Hey everybody, how you doing? We are Any Way You Slice It. I am Jason Flom, and this guy right here wants shiny cars and dirty money and lots of rock and roll. It's Peter Tesian. This is our WASP episode. We finally get to it. And the reason I say finally is because this was requested by a dear viewer of ours, Michael Terry from Hawaii. He actually donated to our channel. And he suggested, hey, I wouldn't mind hearing you guys talk about the first 3 W.A.S.P albums. And you know what? We're going to do you one better.
We didn't mean to diss him for a year. We're sorry, Michael.
It wasn't a year. But still, this should have been done a long time ago.
But also, we've been talking about, we try to slip in talk about W.A.S.P. Whenever we could, even when we just did Kiss. Because they're connected. I mean, they toured with Kiss. Mm-hmm. And let's face it, they kind of look a lot like Kiss in certain ways.
And act like Kiss.
Eras of Kiss. And so, now that we can, it took us 10 months to get around to it. Now that we could just talk about nothing but W.A.S.P.
Yeah. So this whole, if you don't like W.A.S.P, turn off now, because we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about the first 4 albums, which is basically their 80's output. Okay. So we got W.A.S.P, The Last Command, Inside the Electric Circus, and the Headless Children.
It's a good. If we talk about W.A.S.P Part 2. Sometime that's a possibility, but Headless Children is a good place to stop because they kind of took a break after that.
Yeah, they did. They actually broke up.
So it makes sense to stop there.
They broke up because Chris and Johnny left the band, and Blackie decided to do a solo album. Then he decided, I'm just going to call it W.A.S.P, and that was the Crimson Idol, which many people say is their best. And Blackie says it's his masterpiece.
I mean, 7-star, and how many solo albums were going to be a solo album, but ended we'll just put the band name on there.
Exactly. But we'll get into that maybe at another point, because now we're all about 80's W.A.S.P. And we got a lot of 80's stuff to show you.
First of all, what are you laughing at?
Nothing.
First of all, right off the bat, Jason,
Justin.
Who are you? Jason came over and he came through the door and he said he just took this off his wall. That's right. He still got this on his wall.
And if you believe that.
I think you said it was kind of on
the pinholes?
On your ceiling above your bed, right? So that's where Jason's coming from. So.
Hey, you can't say I don't have good taste. Or any taste at all.
So, so we're talking about... I don't have a lot of W.A.S.P on vinyl right now, but I got to say, if you're going to have them on CD...
Oh, these remasters.
I love CD and vinyl for different reasons, but these Digipack cases with the extra cuts, I think that's the way to get them. They sound great. If you're going to have it on CD, it's going to sound perfect anyway.
And speaking of extra cuts, this finally has Animal Make Love Like a Beast on it, doesn't it?
Make Love? Animal Make Love
Like a Beast. It's the first song, because Animal Make Whoopee Like a Beast was taken off of this at the last minute in 1984. Capitol said no. And W.A.S.P were like, okay.
But was it not on the cassettes, though?
No, it wasn't on it at all originally.
Then how did I have it originally?
It was released as a single in Europe.
But I wasn't in Europe. How did I get it?
I don't know how you got it.
I definitely knew the song well.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe later cassettes had it.
I know Floyd sold it at Budget. The import.
Maybe I just know it from when I got the CD in the late 80's. Like a late 80's copy.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never looked that up, but I definitely knew the song.
Yeah. Well, this was the album it was supposed to be on originally, but they held it off. Not that the album wasn't killer anyway.
And then I also have the matching Digipack for Last Command. What is this on? Snapper Classics is the label. These are great and they sound good. So
the Snapper people do.
I don't know if these are the ones that are still available if you go buy them new. I don't think they are, but if you look up these ones, they sound killer.
They do sound good.
Yeah, and they have all the extra stuff. And this is just a regular old Inside the Electric Circus, capital EMI copy, I think. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. It is, it's got this little thing in here. I think it's Japanese. Kind of cool, right?
That is definitely Japanese.
So
I can't read a word of that.
Yeah. It's a Japanese CD import. Maybe I have a mixed up Frankenstein copy because I think my CD is actually just standard old American one stuck in there. So I don't know what happened, but I got a cool cover though. So for me, forever, the first 3 albums were really special. Sounded like they all just kind of came out of the same batch of songs. Like the songwriting very similar, and their look too. Their look changed a bit more on this album, of course, and the tour. But I don't know. Then this one,
that kind of summarizes the era.
It is a bookends for the era. Although I don't think it's an amazing live album. Really, it has what does it have? A couple songs that are not on something else.
Scream Until You Like It. Speaking of which,
Scream Until You Like It, and
what
is it?
I'll know when I see it.
Wild Child Sleeping. The Manimal. The Manimal. That's it, man. And the Manimal's a good song. It sounds like straight up early W.A.S.P. Songwriting. Mm-hmm. Not bad though.
Live in the Raw.
Kind of like that Dokken Live album, or like the Kiss Alive 3. Kind of overproduced.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it is completely raw.
Live in the Raw.
Is it?
Or maybe they played naked. So we don't know. That's the original cassette, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right on.
I also have this. I also have the Scream Until You Like It 7-inch, which is pretty cool. I have it up here so my kids can see it all the time, so they know,
Did you notice on the back, Johnny Rod looks like he should be in the Village People?
This is a promo, isn't it?
Ooh, is it?
I think it's a promo. It's a white. I think it's a white promo, or were they all white like that? Huh.
Look it up. It might be worth something.
Yeah. So, and that's a killer song.
It is a good song.
Yeah.
From Ghoulies 2.
And that's fun that they got to do that.
Yep.
So what else? Anything interesting? You want to talk about that?
Speaking of fun.
Original VHS. Oh, and I have the soundtrack also. And right on the back,
there he is.
The infamous scene. Did you see that interview with Blackie where he said he did not like that?
Oh.
He tried to stop that. He tried to stop. I guess they did interviews with Chris earlier in the day, and this was later at night. I guess I don't know if they were hanging out. He says he really wasn't that drunk. He's just playing around. That's what Blackie said. Blackie says he wasn't really that drunk. His mom's there, and he's just acting ridiculous.
That's Blackie trying to save face.
But he might have been.
He was wasted.
Pretty drunk. But
he was slurring his speech.
But they tried to take it out. They tried to have it removed, but I guess supposedly it had already been sent through, blah, blah, blah. So Blackie was saying in this interview that he's not friends with Penelope anymore.
And by the way, what a snapshot of mid to late 80s Los Angeles Sunset Strip.
That's killer Mustang right there, too.
Yeah, it's just, this is sign of the times for back then.
It is a fun movie in general,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alice Cooper, Kiss, of course, Motorhead, Aerosmith, Ozzy cooking breakfast.
Yep.
Fast Pussycat. Good stuff. Yeah, the soundtrack. I used to have this. I remember being excited because Alice Cooper and Guns N' Roses do a song together on here.
Is it an Alice Cooper song?
Yeah, Under My Wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Queensryche, what song did they do? Oh, is Prophecy on here? Oh, I love that song. Mm-hmm. Great Queensryche song. Warning outtake. Should have been on the Warning. Probably would have been one of the best songs on there, the Prophecy. Good stuff.
Kind of a rare cassette. I think it's on IRS.
Yep. Okay.
So the first album. When did you hear the first album?
Let's lead up to the first album because there's some interesting things. Blackie, he was in the New York Dolls for 15 minutes or so in the mid 70s. He actually came on board when Johnny Thunders left in the middle of a tour, and so he was in the band. I don't know, for the remainder of the tour. Went to Los Angeles with the bass player to start a band. Killer Kane was the name of the band, and they did an EP, which I haven't heard, but I'm sure it's on YouTube. That broke up. Blackie decided to stay in Hollywood, try to get something going. Was in a band called Sister, with a guy named Nicky Sixx. Ended up being in a band called Circus with, who was in that band? guys in and out of bands.
You
in
can-
fact, Blackie was even in London with Nikki Sixx. Or maybe Nikki had just left to go to Crew or something. I don't know, But
If you look up this, put in Blackie Lawless Sister or Blackie Lawless Circus, you can see a lot of footage, and you'll see songs, and it's like, oh, that's the verses from Love Machine, or you know what I mean? Or
in fact,
that's part of Fuck Like a Beast, or and so they kind of were working these songs up into their first masterpiece eventually.
Love Machine was a Circus song I read.
Yeah.
So, W.A.S.P. is formed in '82. And one more quick little fun fact. I know Blackie was in the audience. He was a guest of Ace at Friday's TV show when Kiss performed there in early '82. So W.A.S.P. was just about to begin. The early version of W.A.S.P. had Blackie, Chris Holmes, Tony Richards, and Rick Fox on bass. Rick ended up leaving and going to Steeler with Ron Keel and Yngwie, of course. So
we got to tell her that ties in with Ace because we've told this before, but it's on an old episode that we're probably going to redo. So we're going to redo a bunch of Kiss episodes, I think.
Definitely the first couple.
Soon we're going to start with our favorite 80s and favorite makeup Kiss stuff, Because those were our first 2 episodes and they kind of sucked. But the Ace Frehley thing is that he worked in this printing place and they were printing Kiss.
I think it was Boutwell in advertising.
They were printing Kiss posters. And he said, this is what he said anyway, that they printed more Ace than anybody else.
And
which is probably true, Star Wars. And
the reason because of the whole Star Wars spaceman
Not just that, but you got to admit, Ace's costume looked amazing. It really looked cool.
And maybe this was when New York Groove was kind of taking off too. So that leads us up to the first album, W.A.S.P. album. And even before the album came out, there was a single released of Animal, Fuck Like a Beast. Yes, that's what it's called. It was released in the UK because no way was that going to be released in America. And again, Capitol said, nope, not going to be on the album. And they relented. And let's face it, they had 10 killer songs anyway. And, they were still going to do it live and everything. The legend was only going to grow because, people can't buy this, but we're doing it.
Yeah, it's like if you open that album up with Beast, or if you don't open it up with I Want to Be Somebody, it's totally killer in either way, really. Yeah. The energy that, I Want to Be Somebody has, that's a killer opener, too.
But with Animal, I Want to Be Somebody, Love Machine, even The Flame, those songs, man, what a side one on this record.
For me, every song, it's just really every song. It's just...
Yeah.
And they had not just worked on the songs in different bands and kind of the songs evolved, but also I've heard that Blackie was really meticulous about the way he wanted things recorded. And for instance, he spent a lot of time getting guitars perfectly in tune. Because that stuff affects the listener. You don't know why you don't like it. Like that bass is kind of flat and you're feeling like, I don't know, this gives me a bad feeling. People that aren't musicians, they don't know. But that quality level he was going for the whole time, and he was working on that, I think, over the years. And when he started recording, it's like I think they recorded the album a few different times before they really got to the level that at least Blackie was happy with.
And let's face it, Blackie is W.A.S.P. Plain and simple. Wrote all the songs. Yeah, there's a co-write here and there by Chris Holmes.
I think he plays a lot of rhythm on all the albums.
Yeah. He had switched to bass for this album, and obviously on tour as well. And he played bass for the first 2 albums until Randy Piper left, and then Blackie just took over a second guitar.
And I think I'm going to say what I think everybody thinks. Just like seeing Gene with the bass, you want to see Blackie with the bass, and that BC Rich, was it a bitch? Is that what that's called, that shape? It just looked, he's always like doing his thing with his gray streak, and the bass was just powerful.
And he had the cod piece, and he walked like Gene,
He just moved cool with it because he moved like a guy, and the bass is big and cumbersome on some people, but on him it just fit. I mean, he kind of danced around, but especially later he danced more.
There's that video of them from '84 playing in London, the Lyceum
Hammersmith.
Lyceum.
Yeah.
Oh man. They were a dangerous act.
So from the first tour, you mean, with the whole act? With the whole act?
Oh,
yeah.
The torture chamber, and The topless woman.
The girl,
and, yeah. And raw meat, of course. Come on, raw meat, which he cuts on the saw blade and throws out.
Gotta have raw meat.
And Chris is just, he's a crazy, he's literally comes across as a crazy man.
Yeah, it's not, the songs were, everybody to this day will say, oh man, those first couple albums, the songs, and his voice, so good. Everybody, even people who are not really into metal. I got this friend that come over, I won't say his name, but I'm gonna go get some ice cream and hang out at the park. He's just this nice, gentle little dude, you know what I mean? I played him Fuck Like a Beast. He's like, I like Fuck Like a Beast, Peter. Like, he's always requesting me to put that.
You said your name in that
sentence. It's just funny because he's just the most conservative guy, a great guy. But he loved that tune. It's just, that tune is just it's all hook. It's all hook,
Proving that even this guy had a libido as well.
But it's not just the music. It was the whole package like Kiss had in the 70s. That look they had.
Yeah.
Chris Holmes was perfect. I don't know if Chris Holmes was truly I think he's kind of a pentatonic, get a little lick going, write your solo. I don't know if he had anything to do with the Malmsteen realm or anything like that, but
no.
They weren't really about that with solos, but they had this combination of really, really great songs, vocals, and that look tied it all together. And for me at my age, and still when I look at it, it's really powerful,
Yeah.
So when he switched to guitar and had a blonde guy playing bass, right away I was like,
A blonde guy playing bass with the last name of Rod.
I didn't vote for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It changed a little bit.
It did change, yeah.
Not that they didn't still put out good music, but speaking, you mentioned that they were great songs. Blackie, very underrated songwriter. We were playing before we were on the air here. What was it, Restless Gypsy? Mm-hmm. The melody is just amazing.
Yeah.
And in Wild Child, of course. These aren't just, these aren't dumb rock songs. Maybe lyrically, one could say so in certain sons, but very well put together.
They're going for shock value. They got some Alice Cooper.
Very well put together. Have you ever seen Mean Man, the documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris talks about how Blackie was basically, he was Blackie Lawless on stage, and the second he was off stage, he was a different persona.
You look at his interviews from 88, 89. He's a professor. He's like Gene.
We were talking about that before too. He's very much like
kind of he's got a dramatic sense like Gene.
Mm-hmm.
Some pretty girl can ask him the silliest question about his cod piece or whatever, and when you think about the youth of today, he gets real deep on it.
He took a page from the Gene Handbook of interviewing. Definitely, without a doubt. Yeah. And stage moves.
Yeah.
and just from, shock value on stage. Very influenced by Kiss, and he'll tell you that. And Alice Cooper as well.
And Motley Crue. I heard that he actually hit up Nicky and said, hey, you guys are kind of done with that look. I'm going to kind of go for that. With their kind of Shout the Devil and Too Fast
Was
for
he
Love
asking
look.
Nicky permission?
I think he kind of did, just maybe on a personal level. That's what I've heard that. Well, a couple times I've heard that, so I think it's true. I think he let him know at least that, hey, if you guys have gone pink, I don't know. Well, they didn't really go pink until what, 85?
Theater Pain, yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys are gonna go pink.
Yeah. But I heard that he really did hit up Nicky and say, hey, I'm gonna kind of go with that look. So
okay. Well, that sounds like he's telling him. He's not asking. Hey, I'm gonna go with that look.
I don't know how it went down exactly, but
Nicky,
also the white streak of probably just makeup in the hair is very Peter Criss, and feels like. Did Gene do that early days?
This is what we're looking at.
Did Gene just do a little streak sometimes? I don't know.
Paul had it during the Destroyer.
Oh, he had that bleach. Yeah. But this outfit could be on Gene.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
you got Chris's look.
The flame jumpsuit.
I guess he's 6'5", and he really did look like a football player. His build and everything. Mm-hmm. He just looked big. It's funny when you see him on this tour. You see him tight end. When you see him running around with the bottom half of his legs kind of white, it just looks kind of funny. But he's got blood guitar, fire shirt. It just doesn't get more overtly metal than this.
Mean Man.
Yeah.
Everybody go to watch Mean Man. It's on YouTube for free. Chris Holmes documentary. Very good. Very well put together.
And it's a song on Headless. Right?
Yes, about Chris Holmes. So, the first album, though, this is by far my favorite. They wanted to call the album Winged Assassins. That's a cool name. I don't know why Capitol didn't go for that.
That's a good band name. That's a good band.
Winged Assassins. If anybody out there should form a W.A.S.P tribute band, now you know the name.
It's probably taken now, I bet.
Yeah, sorry. You're too late.
The first album is such a masterpiece through working out at least sections of those songs in the earlier bands and then demoing them and then trying to record the album and failing. I guess he wanted to mic everything up really, really close and have absolutely no bleed between the mics at all, which is not necessarily what you want, but I mean, you don't really get a very organic, exciting feeling like that. I've tried that too when I started learning how to record and didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So, but he was trying to do stuff like that. He was trying to push the limits, and so by the time they get the first album done, dude, it's a masterpiece. I think everybody agrees.
Yeah, I mean, if you like heavy metal and you're not into this, you got some listening to do.
They use a lot of verb on all the first 4 albums. They use verb really in a really good moody way. It just makes things big. His vocals, man. He's got a cool howl. He's got a great kind of like speaking dialogue type of singing when he's like laying out a verse or something, being dramatic.
And later on, he's singing "I Don't Need No Doctor." He's got solo.
And his screams. Oh, I wait for his screams like before going into a solo or something like that.
I think he just screams because he likes it.
Nah.
But yeah, Blackie's
around,
voice, guttural. You can. Oh yeah.
It's an anomaly because it's so melodic. For me, on the first 3 albums, it's really melodic anyway, but it's so raunchy at the same time.
Raunchy's a good way to put it, especially when he's singing "Sex Drive."
But it's warm. You know what I mean? It's warm and low. It's not like mid-rangey like Nazareth. It's like it's raw, but I don't know. It's just Blackie. No one really sounds like him. Well, what's that channel? In Full Bloom, in Full. What is that? The guy puts up a bunch of his old interviews.
Full in Bloom.
Yeah. He's got some good stuff. He's got some interviews with Mike Varney and people about W.A.S.P. It sounds like he was kind of a fan. So
Mike Varney, the co-producer with Blackie.
And I guess I don't know what his name is on that channel. Do you know what his name is?
Full in Bloom.
Mr. Bloom. He said that Blackie could have been like the greatest thrash singer of all time, and it's true. He could have been. His scream is just
he's got a one-of-a-kind voice, that's for sure. And I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, he's not in the Yngwie mold, but when you hear Chris Holmes play guitar, you know it's Chris Holmes. When he lays into a solo, yeah. Let's go through some of the songs on here. We don't have to do a track by track. They're all good. How about that?
Well, we're going to talk about 4 albums, so kind of hard to talk about every song, really. But
but I mean, it starts off with Animal. At least this remastered one does, and that's the way it should have always been. And Animal, okay, we get it. It's taboo, all that stuff. But it's just a great fucking song. It just is. Listen to that chorus. That's a good chorus.
Do we want to? That's a really important tune. Do we want to? So we like to play clips sometimes, but certain bands like AC/DC, it doesn't work with.
Yeah, because they stop you.
Yeah. They won't put the video up. So we'll try it, and if it doesn't work, I'll just have to go back and edit those out. But it'd be fun with W.A.S.P. because I think they're masterpieces. And the recording, the performances, the songs.
And if you have any young kids near your device, you might want to cover their ears.
Kick them out of the room.
Okay. Joni Richards is good.
That's some good palm mute.
Oh, Blackie.
Little cowbell in there.
This part, that's not even the chorus. This is.
I know, but how he says it.
Yeah.
So it's funny, what makes it so good? It's the melody
energy.
And the mood and energy that it's set up. They set their stuff up with the mood, though. They really do.
And come on, when this came out, I was 13 or 14. 13. My hormones are raging. I knew what he was talking about.
Mine still are. But when he says that, right before they go into the chorus, just that scream, man.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I think about what
Classic.
made these W.A.S.P. songs so good on the first few albums, because I mean, it sounds like the most obvious metal riff. Like, I could hear a local band here and think, oh God, these old Weekend Warriors. You know what I mean? Like they can't come up with nothing new.
Weekend Warriors.
But it's just how you do it, though. You know. Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's trashy, but it's metal, and
Yeah, it's like what makes the Slayer guitar sound so good. You wouldn't say the Slayer guitar sound is like the best of anything. It's just it's just got that tone. It's their hands, the way they pick it. You know?
yeah.
Something about the early songs are just magic. But what are the extra cuts on here?
Painted Black.
Oh yeah, Painted Black.
Show No Mercy.
And they didn't release it. And they didn't really start releasing covers on albums until
Circus.
third album. Yeah. But they always recorded something extra.
Yeah, they
Kind
did.
of like Maiden did. Maiden always recorded something.
Yeah, but then on the third album you get 2 cover songs.
Yeah, on the album, yeah.
But getting back to the first one, because it's the best. Yeah. First of all, I want to say that Sleeping in the Fire is my favorite W.A.S.P. ballad by far.
Really?
What a great
Let's
song.
hear it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, the song builds so well.
Oh, yeah. That's what I like about it. Feel like holding the lighter up.
It's more minor than that, though. You know, it's darker than that. It ain't Warrant. You know, it's like it's.
It deserves atmosphere.
Listen to that singing, though. You know, it's great pitch control. Sounds like an ovation. Sounds really like a thin ovation. Again, not complex. You know what I mean? You get to the chorus, and it's like you got 2 bars of each chord. Like, it's just laid out so simple.
Yeah.
It's his melody on top, though, that really, it's just really great, you know.
Yeah. It's a ballad, power ballad, if you will, but it's done in the W.A.S.P. way. You know, it's.
And you know that song right there. You know, a lot of people might have looked at them and saw their pictures, ridiculous pictures, seen him throwing out meat, blood dripping down on his face, whatever, and think, oh, this is just stupid shock rock. But you can't mess with that quality. You know what I mean? Like, so they really had the music. They really had the music first.
Here's one of my favorites from the album. Everyone likes this one, right? Yeah, Kiss. Something. That's mid-80s Kiss right there. Get her jingle. Oh yeah!
Or ow!
Yeah. Yeah. Just great music. Gotta hear the chorus, man.
Very simple.
A lot of suspended
Just whole
chords.
notes. The whole notes, you know, just like long chords. It's a 2-chord verse.
Kind of Slade-ish.
Yeah. Oh, you know they're influenced by Slade.
Oh yeah.
And dude, also Richards, dude, he's a really good drummer.
Yeah, he really is.
He really is.
I was listening to W.A.S.P. all day today. I have a job where I've been driving around, and I was like, Tony Richards is fucking great.
He really is. He's so solid and got such a nice thick sound, and he's like Eric Carr. You don't really hear him ever off. He's never really off. He is so solid in that pocket. I know he had some problems and whatever, so they couldn't really continue with him.
Yeah, this is the only album he's on.
Nothing against Riley, because Riley went on. I loved that first LA Guns album at the time.
Oh, I loved it.
And
Loved it.
He does sound good on these albums. Live, tempo ain't perfect live. I mean, Richard's pretty solid. He's hard to beat. But Riley sounds really good on the albums. And, I saw a little clip of them, like a backstage thing or something, and he's warming up with some double bass, and it's like, wow, he never got to do that with W.A.S.P. But it was like, it was some nice, fast, good double bass. So, he's a great player also.
Riley? Yeah, we recently lost him. So, all the greats are just leaving us. They just are. But we still have plenty around still, so see him when you can.
Anything else?
B.A.D.'s great. They like their abbreviations, don't they?
They like their abbreviations.
B.A.D.'s great. School Days, of course. D.A.Z.E.
Oh, School Days. Yeah. So good.
Hellion. I mean, On Your Knees, they used to open up with that.
They opened up for like a few tours, I think. Yeah.
I seen W.A.S.P.
Interesting, because it doesn't have like a dramatic start. It just kind of busts in. It's
just a cool song, though. I seen them open up for Kiss in '86.
Yeah.
That was cool. Last Command and Asylum.
Did you get a shirt or anything?
I think I might have, actually. I know I got a Kiss one.
Because, there's that infamous talk between Blackie and Gene where he said, our merch is out selling your merch or whatever. And at the time, W.A.S.P. was hot. They were brand new.
I honestly do think I bought one of each. So.
Oh, really? What shirt did you get of W.A.S.P?
I think it just had Blackie in the front. God, it was like a jersey. Remember the rock jerseys?
So think of you. So picture you're in this band. You're Chris Holmes or whoever, and this is the album cover. The next album comes out. Where am I? Only Blackie.
And the one after that.
Yeah. The one after that is that plus a little sexy wexy.
So this album, the sophomore effort.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm re-listening to all these albums. Because we were going to do this, and don't like this as much as I used to. Still love this one probably even more than I used to, just because I can even appreciate it more. This one is great. It has high points, but as a whole, don't like it as much as I used to. But still great. I mean, it's not an embarrassment. It's Wild Child. I mean, first of all, that's a great single. Just a great single.
Notice Wild Child's written really bigger than all the other songs. This Wild Child rules.
Yeah. Blind in Texas is a fun song. Video as well.
So my thing with this is I definitely have favorites on here too. Wild Child is definitely one of them.
The title track.
All Crusher, Fistful of Diamonds. I mean, that's a favorite for me. Blind in Texas is not my favorite. I mean, just saying Texas over and over. I don't know. It was just kind of...
Hey, dude, let's party.
I don't know. The subject matter maybe didn't quite get it for me. And still, the video's fun. So my thing, like you mentioned, this one's not quite up to like the first one. For years, I thought, you cannot mess with that first one. That first one is immaculate. It's perfect. They built up to it for years. And then, like, a lot of bands, you gotta get that second album out. But in going back and listening to these, because we talked about doing this like a month ago, it just didn't happen. I've been putting the albums on here and there and getting reacquainted in a way where I could at least say some stuff, not just as a listener, but, And I got to say, for me, the first three, totally equal to me. So good. And I know that this is the first one in a Hit Us All first, and it's nostalgic and special, but for me personally, totally underrated. And I know, even for Blackie, it's not a favorite. They've been doing this for a while already, tour, record, back and forth. But these first three are just a set for me. And recently I realized that I like this more than I used to.
Wow.
So that's kind of funny.
Here's the thing, though. I was, I'd seen them on this tour. So, you got to buy the album of the tour you've seen, right?
Yeah.
So I was just totally into this at the time. And don't get me wrong, it's great.
And you're like, where's Folk Like a Beast?
It's still not on there. It's great. I mean, The Last Command's a great song. Running Wild in the Streets is great. Widowmaker as sitar.
Yeah.
I seen an interview with Blackie where he said he plays 12 instruments on this album.
14.
Oh, is it 14?
I think he says 14.
Okay.
So here's the thing. let's talk about that, because he does some slightly pretentious interviews where he's like, well, somebody needs to push the boundaries of hard rock or metal, and, you know, like Operation Mindcrime or some, you know, The Warning, or, you know, there's bands that were doing that. There was the Watchtowers out there and stuff. But the idea was that he wanted to add a lot of little Easter eggs on here and different instrumentation, and he wanted it to make, when it came out, he said it's a cross between, what did he say, a cross between Pink Floyd and what? Maybe he said Pink Floyd and W.A.S.P.
Yeah,
He did.
Yeah.
And I don't hear it, you know. Just
Pink Floyd?
That's what he said. Yeah. You know, he was feeling really creative, obviously, and that's good, and it is special, and there are little things here and there, but it doesn't, for as big of a deal he made of it at the time. It's cool. It's got some stuff in there.
Does kind of look like Dark Side of the Moon right there.
They got the triangle. They got some extra stuff in there for sure, and some sound effects and whatnot, but it doesn't change it that much for me from what I feel from the first album, you know.
Yeah. I'm glad first of all, I'm glad they didn't sell out. You know, W.A.S.P. wouldn't do that, right? You know, if anything, they were the band you knew wasn't going to sell out ever, and they didn't.
Yeah,
they never did. Unless you count "Forever Free," the ballad.
I am not personally into the W.A.S.P. ballads that came, like on the fourth album and on. I just I can't do those ballads that came up all the time.
They didn't sell out. You want to hear anything from this album?
Heck yeah! Let's hear "Wild Child." Now this mood, this chord change right here, that reminds me of Fastway on the soundtrack for Trick or Treat.
Oh,
does it remind you of?
Yes.
Not Tearing Down the Walls, but.
I know the song you're talking about. Big time.
Those are the chord changes, I think.
That's already a mood that wasn't on their first album.
It's got a dark mood, man.
Yeah. More melody than the first album.
I think they always had a lot of I like that they had the guts to open up with something moody like that. That wasn't necessarily fast, powerful though, you know. And he wasn't screaming either, singing kind of.
That's what I meant by more melody,
moody and chill.
Like, you know.
And they decided to open up the album with that. That's cool.
Yeah,
it's
just a great song.
Yeah,
and it was co-written by Chris Holmes, by the way. He gets a few co-writes here and there. Ball Crusher's great. Fistful of Diamonds.
Fistful. Can we hear Fistful for a second? Love Fistful.
Two big New York banks posted strong second quarter earnings.
This is the Pink Floyd, I guess.
Oh,
this is their cash register.
God, he's right. This is just like the Pink Floyd album.
Sound effects, I suppose.
Profit rose 45%, adding fresh ammunition to his 8-month effort to take over.
Like Gene, isn't he?
Yeah, for me, that's a perfect song for me.
The chorus sounds like 80 Blackies.
I love the way that turnaround goes and then bam into the chorus. That's good writing.
Yeah, it's a good song. He's a good songwriter. He really truly is. You know, doesn't get the credit he deserves. Widowmaker's a good moody song. That's one with the sitar. Yeah. Sex Drive, I mean, they had to please the little girls, right? They had to do it. Yeah. Great.
Let's hear. Can we hear a second of Mississippi Queen?
Let's do it.
Because that's a pretty good version.
Yeah. This, I think it was a B-side to something.
They ain't gonna have a Leslie West solo, but who can? I mean,
all their covers are good.
yeah.
Mississippi Queen, you know what I mean. Mississippi Queen,
Definitely a different mix.
everything. I went down around Vicksburg.
Vocals are kind of loud. Well, they weren't thinking it's gonna be released. Probably B-side. It's probably B-side, right?
Oh, yeah. You're just having fun.
Mississippi Queen. You know she was a dancer. She moved
That's that, Listy in the show.
dudes was a getting their kicks. Got a big upon
So-
mine.
Think about these covers that he chooses. He chose
Paint It Black on the first
Paint It
album.
Black. That's interesting because that kind of like goes against the grain of the point that I was going to make. He chooses these singers with raucous voices. Leslie West, powerful, gritty ass voice. Oh my God! And then the Who song was a Roger Daltrey vocal, right? Which was another great distorted rock voice. And then Steve Marriott. So he did all these vocals of bands that had voices that could be attributed to maybe where he came from.
And the
vocally.
Uriah Heep song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I love this album. I remember a couple months ago when we were talking about doing this episode, so I mentioned on my way out that this was my favorite W.A.S.P album. Well, it's actually not. This is. So, yeah, that's changed.
You're in trouble.
Oh, go to your room. So let me mention really quick. We talked about the show from London from '84. The video is it's a savage live act. But anyway, the audio from it, some of it anyway, are the bonus tracks on The Last Command. Go get it, people.
Yeah. So third album, Inside the Electric Circus. For me, like I said, the first three are just this perfect kind of little set. And this is the third installment in my mind. But for me, it's a special one because a lot of people don't really give it up for this one. I mean,
Even Blackie himself said,
Yeah.
his quote is, "It's a tired album from a tired band."
Yeah, but okay, so he went into the second album thinking, I'm going to throw in the kitchen sink, everything in the kitchen sink. I'm going to have all these sound effects and all these instruments. And then this is more straight up, but that doesn't mean that the songs were not just as good. In fact, when I was younger, I kind of thought Last Command was a little drab at times on songs here or there. I don't really feel like that anymore, I guess, but I felt like this one kind of picked it up with the energy. It's like, well, we don't really have to put sound effects everywhere. We just need to play with energy. And I kind of always felt like this one was just as good as Last Command,
I do now.
for me.
I do now.
You know.
I didn't back then.
So it's kind of a special one for me. Yeah. So the tunes, it opens up with, let's hear that opener because I think that's a killer opener. Maybe not just the intro.
or
Not really the intro necessarily, but they got their guitar with chorus on it. Phase probably.
they had to open up the shows with this.
I feel like I saw footage and they opened up with
On your knees?
knees on your knees.
This is from the tour.
Yep.
This is first. If this is in order. Yeah. That's just whatever show I saw.
I think it's killer.
Yeah. Good opening. We were talking earlier. My favorite W.A.S.P song not on the first album, is on this album, and it's called 9-5 Nasty. That's his most raw vocal.
That's a killer song.
Yes.
And they, I Don't Need No Doctor. They do this 2 albums in a row where they got the cover as track 2.
This and the next album.
Yeah.
And he does a great Steve Marriott impression. You wouldn't think, like, I wouldn't think those guys would be on the same planet.
Well, Steve Marriott's got a higher voice.
Yeah.
He's got a higher range. He's probably alto.
He's got the most soul you've ever heard in a 5'2" little white guy. He literally, he's 5'2".
Yeah.
Was. But Blackie, man, he kills it.
Dude.
Blackie grew up on Motown and stuff. He'll talk to you about that.
Restless Gypsy. That's so good.
Restless
Shoot from the
Gypsy.
Hip. I'm Alive. Can we hear I'm Alive a little bit? That started side 2, didn't it?
Yeah, and by the way, Shoot from the Hip, Any Way You Slice It, the Kiss song, very similar. Well, opening riff anyway. Here's I'm Alive. Is that Maiden? Slice it, people.
From Asylum. Yeah. That sounds like that Gene song for sure. I love I'm Alive. I think it's the starting of side 2 on the CD or on the vinyl.
Do you like it better than Kiss's I'm Alive?
Both are killer, actually.
Yeah.
But dude, this album, I just don't hear any. I don't hear any step down from Last Command personally. I don't. Sure,
No.
Wild Child's a great opener, but
Why didn't Blackie like this album?
well, he got to be all creative with Last. This is what I think. He got to be all creative with Last Command. It's really close to his heart. Blah blah blah. And then they went in to do this album, and the producers said that it was just business as usual. They came in, they weren't drinking a lot really. Or anything like partying, and there was no chaos. They just
Wait, the producer, because Blackie produced it.
the engineer. They worked with them. Yeah.
Okay.
He said they were just business as usual, and they got the album done. It didn't take very long.
Wait, did you say there was no drinking? I mean, Chris Holmes is on this album, right?
No, I mean there was
Okay.
a little beers or whatever. But he says it was professional,
Okay.
And they got the album done, and they were proud of it. And maybe it just didn't hit as big as, when they first came out. It was like, oh shit, the sound and the look of it. It was, that carried them for a few years.
Yeah, and you said it didn't hit as big. It is true. I looked it up, if you can believe Wikipedia. The first 2 albums went gold, and it's weird to think they only went gold.
Well, probably platinum by now.
The Electric Circus didn't go gold,
Yeah.
and the next one overseas it went silver. And I had to look up because I'd never heard of a silver certification. Silver is like 60,000 records in like the UK or something.
I think artists get a little sour when the reviews come in sometimes, and when the numbers show, and when they put their heart into something and they try to figure out what they did wrong. They didn't necessarily do anything wrong, It's like Metallica was huge at this time, and there was other stuff going on. They were getting up in the spotlight sometimes. Was this right before GNR? I mean, there's some things coming up pretty quick here.
Literally a year before.
They were going to push things right out of the... Mm-hmm. So that would take us to the 4th album.
4th album, the Headless Children. Mm-hmm. Frankie Bonelli is now the drummer.
Yeah.
From Quiet Riot, of course. And we don't have it here to show. We're sorry, but it's a killer album cover.
Yeah.
You know, look at the people on the album cover.
It's the first album cover without anybody from the band on the front.
True.
So he's going. It's I'm pretty sure it's a concept album, is it not?
It's a loose concept album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got the Who song,
The Real Me.
The Real Me, and I guess he sent it to Pete, and Pete Townsend wrote him a letter, I guess, and said, "Hey, I really liked it." Blah blah blah. And
Yeah, yeah.
was cool at least. Maybe he didn't like it. I don't know, but he said he dug it. That's cool.
Here's the thing. Blackie grew up listening to great music. So when they do a cover, I mean, they're not going to half-ass it. It's got to be good. It can't be an embarrassment. You know what I mean? So they probably didn't really like their cover of Mississippi Queen, so it just became a B-side. But The Real Me, they nail that.
It's good.
It's really
It's
good.
got a good video. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that on
It's like
Headbangers
a
Ball.
huge stage on the video. It's good.
And
Yeah.
speaking of that, we didn't really talk about the videos from the other albums.
did a little
Last
bit.
Command has really good. Oh, this one has
Love
really
Machine.
yes.
That's a great video.
Yes. Again, what 13-year-old boy wasn't digging the girls in that video?
Got some weird sci-fi stuff going on with Love Machine.
Yeah.
That ties in with that.
Yeah.
Wild Child, great video though.
The
That's a
water
great
tank in Love Machine. Too.
Yeah, that's
he pushes
really
her
cool.
down.
Yeah.
That's cool stuff. Wild Child's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, it's in a desert, right? Blind in Texas. That's just like, remember Wanted Man, the video? You know, the tough rock and roller cowboy guys
Seems
coming
like
to
it's
a bar.
kind of influenced by that.
Yeah. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fourth album, it's darker. It's
Heavier?
darker. It's consistently darker, and I don't really know if it's heavier. It's just got a different feel. You know, he's got a little bit different drum. He's such a great drummer. Sometimes I'm going, maybe it is Drum Machine at certain points, but I'm listening like, God, he sounds perfect. He sounds really good. He's a great drummer.
Was.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, they don't lose me on Headless Children, but something's different. And for me, the things that I notice is some of that warmth and the hooks. Some of the hooks are gone. You know, some of these early W.A.S.P songs, it's like there's an intro that goes 8 bars or whatever, and then Blackie's in, and his verse is this great melodic hook. It goes right into this pre-chorus, and then this amazing melody that's all over the place on the choruses on a lot of these songs. This melody's just going everywhere. Powerful melodies, sung powerful. And then you get there on the fourth album, and it's there's vocals throughout the album, of course, but I feel like the melodies are more minimal. Less notes. Sometimes something just chanted one note, and I miss that feeling from the first few albums on that. But even when it came out at the time, there was something kind of fresh about Headless Children. It was a turn that they made.
Yeah. It's actually, I mean, you know, again, I prefer the first 3 albums as well, but it's
great.
It's sort of a masterpiece if you listen to it.
It's a great album. I'm not really into the ballad myself. Maybe that's just me
Forever Free.
being a Metallica kid or something, but I'm not into the ballad personally. But a lot of great stuff on it. It definitely is a definite change from here. And when we were hearing those couple songs from Circus there, or what did we listen to, 1 or 2? There is a similarity. You know, it's got, oh no, rest is just a chord for another bar. Like, he's got certain ways that he's developing his chord
Restless Gypsy
progressions.
is like son of Wild Child.
You know, a lot of choruses with like power chords, whole notes, 4-beat, every chord. It's kind of laid out simple. He's got these things he does that makes things big. And he's got a great melody over the top. And I think he realized that, you know, maybe there was some reviews that said, oh, they're kind of starting to repeat themselves. I don't know. I love it, though. I love the first 3. But for whatever reason, he did, not just in terms of drama with the album and the conceptiness of it, but in the look of the band, too. But I feel like his songwriting changed a little bit, too. And I feel like he, for whatever reason, he thought he was maybe repeating himself. You can hear his chord progressions are similar, maybe at times.
Yeah.
Would you say?
On the first 3, yeah.
Yeah. So It's good though. Maybe it's good that he shifted right then, or maybe we would have had another album where people were definitely like, "Oh my God, this is the same shit."
Exactly.
I feel like it's fresh all the way up until Circus, personally.
And maybe that has something to do with why a couple members left the band. Like, they, maybe it was getting too serious for them.
Or maybe he booted him because he's just a perfectionist. I mean, it's his deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine. If you get good results, why not?
The look of the band, though, everyone's always gonna see this lineup. It all looked so good together. It looked powerful, and every single one of them didn't mind going and making a crazy metal face. That wasn't Johnny Rod's thing.
No.
Johnny Rod kind of looked LA.
Look at Tony Richards right here. That's a metal face.
Yeah, let's see it. Yeah, he looks fucking crazy. They all look nuts in the early videos. They all just look crazy.
And I'm sure in a way they were.
It's like when they came out, I remember thinking as a kid, this is like 4 Gene Simmons right here.
We haven't talked too much about Randy Piper, the rhythm/lead guitar player.
He's good.
The other guitar player. Funny story about him. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but I was at a Queensryche show here about 10 years ago, maybe.
It better be funny.
It's not funny at all. It's a sad story. I can make it funny.
Let's hear it.
Anyway, I was standing there at a Queensryche show at a local casino here, and I look over, and Randy Piper is standing next to me in a clown outfit.
What?
I just made it funny. He wasn't in a clown outfit. No, but it was Randy Piper, though. He's a local guy. He lives in this area. He lives in this area. Let's get him on the show.
We should.
Why did I just now think of that?
I thought technically he might have been on another level from Chris. I thought he did maybe some of the faster stuff and some of the...
That's the thing. Because I could sit here and say, I love the Chris solo here, but I don't even know if it's Chris playing it.
Yeah.
Sleeping in the Fire, best solo on that album, if you ask me. I don't know who plays it. I assume it's Chris, because...
Ooh, now people are going to comment and make us look bad.
Yeah, well, if you know, I actually would like to know. That's a great solo.
Yeah.
But Randy Piper, he's a local guy from here.
He was good, man.
The Northwest. So at least he lives up here.
He does interviews occasionally about these
Really?
days also. Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, right on. So I didn't talk to him or anything. It was in the middle of a Queensryche show.
And somebody said, "Hey, that's Piper."
I was too busy taking hold of the flame.
How'd you know it was Randy?
Oh, you could just tell.
Did he have a name tag saying, "Hi, I'm Randy Piper"?
Yes.
I was on the first.
It was a 10-foot sign.
I was on the first 2 WASP albums.
He was trying to be, coy
A
about it.
10-foot sign. You managed to make it funny somehow.
There you go. There's my Randy Piper story.
Oh my God. What did Randy do after WASP? God, you really should have researched this better, Jason.
Hey, I seen him recently, okay?
Yeah, no, he was good.
Oh, yeah, Randy Piper.
So Headless Children, anything else to say about that? That's the final one we're talking about in this this episode anyway.
I was really into these first 3 albums, and probably more The Last Command, because that's when I seen them in concert and stuff. But they kind of lost by the Headless Children. I don't know. It was
89.
Let's put it this way. I don't remember ever buying it.
I didn't buy it back then either. But
which is weird.
Years later, I did get it on cassette. But think about what we were doing in 89. It was like Metallica
I had
was
just
huge.
Graduated. Metallica, yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that was huge.
You know what I got in? I was starting to get into like classic rock. Like summer of '89.
Yeah.
That was the Doors summer for me.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah. Okay.
So
was a movie out that year?
No, that came out a couple years later.
A year early.
A couple years later.
Later?
Yeah,
I thought maybe a year
91, before. I believe. But yeah, so I was in discovering Bob Dylan and things like that. So my taste was changing a little bit. I still had room for Kiss, of course, and things like that. But what I'm getting at is I've listened to the Headless Children a lot in the last couple days because, it's really good. I have a new appreciation for it. I really can't tell you why I wasn't into it then.
Yeah.
But it's damn good.
Just sometimes things are going on, you know.
Yeah.
In 89, I really got, it's funny, in 89, I was already 15 or something like that, and I finally got into comic books. That's the year we rode my bike up to 7-Eleven, bought my first Superman, and then I got into Superman and Conan, and those were my titles for years. But that's the summer I got into that, and then later in the summer, I think the Batman movie came out.
89.
Wasn't that 89?
That was 89.
So, yeah. And me and my friends all went to that. And so I was into comic books. So I was kind of divided up between different things at that point. A couple years away from joining my first group. But the music that I was getting into at that point was like Sacred Reich, Forbidden. What else? Fate's Warning. It was a lot of heavy stuff. Slayer. It was all that stuff. So I was moving away from stuff that was at all attached to anything kind of glammy, I suppose.
And soon the public would as well.
Yeah.
So we were just ahead of our times, I guess.
Not that W.A.S.P was glammy, but at that point, they definitely didn't look like they used to.
Right.
You know. And like the Ballad on Headless, which is what I saw on MTV, I think. I kind of wasn't having it.
And you're like, it stops here. Blackie, you've gone too far.
The bus stops here. My friend Brian, just like everybody knew, all my friends knew Kiss was my band. My friend Brian, W.A.S.P was his band. Like, that was his favorite, you know. And he had Headless Children. He played in the car all the time. And one day I asked him, because at the time, 89, Beneath the Remains was out. That's like my favorite. Beneath the Remains and Justice for All. We were listening to all this stuff that was really good and fresh in the heavy, in the thrash direction. And he was putting on Headless Children sometimes. I was like, do you really like this one? Like the early records? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good, you know. And it's funny. I remember asking him that because I doubted the album at the time. I was being a little dick, I guess, but it is a great album in retrospect. You know, I put it on over the years occasionally, and it's good.
It really grows on you, and I'm going to listen to it when I drive out of here, Peter.
Yeah, for me, it's more stark melodically, you know what I mean? But it's got a different feel rhythm section-wise, and it's probably because of the drummer and, you know, Goulding later on. But Bob Kulick ended up playing with him later. That's since we're Kiss fans, that's our Kiss tie-in.
Yeah, he did.
So that's cool.
I think he was on Crimson Idol. So, we should mention about Headless Children. If the keyboards sound familiar, if you think, God, that almost sounds like a Uriah Heep song.
It could be the guy.
That's because Ken Hensley of Uriah Heep, I guess he just came in to play on one song, but ended up playing on the whole album. And it's kind of ironic because on the previous album, they had covered Easy Livin'.
Yeah.
Written by Ken Hensley.
Ken's not on it.
Maybe that was the connection. Maybe Ken heard that and said, hey, that was pretty good. And somehow they got in contact.
They paid a guy to come in and play keyboard on that. I guess he wrote it all out before he even got there, and I thought, wow, this guy's pro. And then he pulled it off because he had it all written out.
Yeah.
So. But it wasn't Ken.
Yeah, and Ken, if people out there aren't familiar with Uriah Heep, first of all, you should be. He was what John Lord was for Deep Purple. He was for Uriah Heep. I mean, it's dominant in their sound, and he also wrote a bunch of their songs too. So he actually has some really good solo stuff as well. So Ken Hensley, God, I think we lost him recently too. So many people just.
We're gonna do a Uriah Heep episode soon.
Oh, we have to.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we will, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, that's we wanted to cover 80's W.A.S.P. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, things happen for a reason. But I checked out of the W.A.S.P. camp in the 90s. But I know, and Blackie will tell you, his masterpiece is Crimson Idol, and I look forward to the day I can really sink myself into that one because, you know, a year from now we're going to be doing W.A.S.P. Part 2, and I'll be like, 90s W.A.S.P. rules.
I've definitely listened to some of the later albums. They haven't grabbed me like the first four, but you know, there's some stuff on Idol that's pretty good.
Yeah, they just did their 40th anniversary tour, and they did this in its entirety, of course. And actually, would have loved to have seen that. Yeah,
they did some. We don't like to get political on here, and if I do get political, Jason frowns because he doesn't want me to make everybody mad. But W.A.S.P. did some pretty silly political stuff recently on their stage.
Did they really?
If you look it up, they'll see it.
I didn't see.
And I'm not going to say where I am. People who know me know where the fuck I am. That's for sure. But
out of curiosity, I'm curious.
They just did stuff that is going to divide their camp. Is my point.
Really?
It's an interesting way to just take your rock band and possibly
that's...
flush it down the toilet. If I don't know. Hopefully people don't react too strong. Yeah, that was. I mean, I feel bad for them if that goes badly for them. There was. You know, I looked at the comments at the time. I mean, anything a band does like this, they're already a historical band forever now. So, if people hate them for a while for whatever their beliefs are, it'll phase out.
Well, let me, you know, to take a quote from Gene Simmons. I mean, you're in a rock band. Who cares about your political views?
Yeah, you shouldn't bring politics into it too much.
Yeah, it's like, anyway. thank you for watching. Again, this was from Michael Terry. We hope you liked it. We hope you all liked it. And I'm Jason. This is Peter. What are we doing next, Peter? If we say it now, we have to do it.
Well, we talked about redoing those first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We could probably do those in a day. Do both of them in one session.
Yeah, maybe.
If we wanted to.
Coming up. Okay.
Yeah?
We have to now.
Okay.
Because I just told the people.
Okay.
Coming up soon.
Doing it. And then I'm getting a new studio space downtown Tacoma here in the next week or two. I'm going to get the keys, and we might move our whole thing down there.
Are you telling me this is possibly the last?
It might be
day in
the
here?
last one here, but what do you think? Should we
Sad.
keep doing it here? Does this place look kind of ghetto? Maybe you tell us. Do we need to? Because down there it's going to be a recording studio. It's going to be well lit. We're going to have drum sets behind us. It'll be cool. You know what I mean? But will it be nerdy like this with music behind us? It won't be. We won't have records to grab and show. It'd be different.
It's a good question.
We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah. Behind the scenes stuff. You're not involved in this.
Well, they can tell us if this place sucks or not.
Your place sucks.
Well, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, thank you, Michael Terry, for suggesting we talk about WASP. And oh, by the way, we still don't know what WASP stands for.
Who knows?
We are sexual perverts.
Like you said, that's really not it.
We all smoke pot. Why would you? Hey, we all smoke pot. Let's call our band W.A.S.P.
When Ken Hensley came and asked, "What does it stand for?" He said, "We all smoke pot." That's what he
Well,
make the '70s rockers happy.
it's just them being controversial.
What's the other? They just put periods there, right?
Yeah,
And I thought they started the whole "We Are Sexual Perverts" thing themselves, just to
probably.
get ridiculous.
I seen this interview where the lady asked Black. He's like, "No, it doesn't stand for that. It's probably true." Okay, you know.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, WASP, W.A.S.P. Thanks for watching our episode, guys, and subscribe. You got to do it.
Can we end this on like a Blackie, Chris, like a wasp face? Can we do that?
Yes.
Ready?
Ready? Go.